My name is Kendra Whitaker, and at 38 years old, I thought I'd mastered juggling my job as an environmental lawyer in suburban Denver with raising my whip-smart 17-year-old daughter alone. That sweltering summer afternoon in 2025, knee-deep in a Rocky Mountain mining case deposition, my phone lit up with a call that stopped my heart. It was her voice, breaking words, choking through tears. Mom at the family barbecue. Grandma shoved me into the bathroom and screamed, "Bastard child." Aunt Candace laughed like it was some sick joke. I pounded on the door, but no one came. The highway blurted as I floored it toward the foothills, rage burning hotter than the July sun scorching the Rockies. How dare they, after years of their fake family reconnects? Now that I'd clawed my way to partner at the firm, do they do this? My daughter, brilliant kind, the girl who memorized Colorado water rights laws as bedtime stories, humiliated like that at their precious backyard grill out, I gripped the wheel, mind racing. This wasn't just another slight. This was war. My daughter's sobs echoed in my head, her pleas trapped behind that bathroom door while their laughter rang outside. I'd spent years swallowing their insults, but no more. They'd crossed a line, and I was done playing nice. I reached for my phone, ready to unleash hell, my next move already forming a plan to make them regret every word. In my mind, the scene burned: her in the sundress I'd bought for the occasion, cornered Grandma's venom, spitting that ugly word ringing off the tiles, her fists hammering for escape. I screeched into the driveway, heart pounding, and burst through the door to find her curled on the couch, eyes raw, but fierce. This was our breaking point. They'd pay for this. Before I tell you how I made them face the consequences, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and hit subscribe if you've ever had to stand up to a toxic family. We're in this together. As I pulled her into my arms on that worn living room sofa, her summer dress all rumpled and her hands trembling like leaves in a mountain wind, I knew the dam had broken. Marissa buried her face in my shoulder, her voice muffled but steady as she started spilling it all the details of that godforsaken barbecue up in the foothills where the air smelled of charred burgers and pine smoke from the Rockies. She'd arrived early, pie in hand, her special apple one baked from scratch with those wild apples we'd picked last fall. Gifts wrapped neatly for everyone, even little Preston. Parked her car by the gravel driveway, walked up to the backyard, spread out against those jagged peaks, the grill smoke curling like a bad omen. Mom barely looked up from flipping steaks, muttering a distracted, "Hey kid," before turning back to the flames. Dad took the bag of presents with a grunt, "Thanks," then wandered off to fiddle with the cooler, not a hug or a "how are you" in sight. Aunt Candace Ford, all decked out in her designer shorts, gave a quick wave from the picnic table where she sat with Uncle Blaine Hayes and Preston, the 6-year-old golden boy, already tearing into a new remote control truck they'd just handed him. The table was set for 5: Grandma, Grandpa, Candace, Blaine, Preston, with an empty spot that was supposed to be mine. When Marissa asked where to sit, Grandma touched over like she'd forgotten she existed. "Oh honey, the table's full. Grab that folding chair out back by the shed. It's fine." So there she was, plate balanced on her lap in the shade of an old pine, picking at coleslaw while the family chattered and laughed just yards away, forks clinking on plates, Preston's truck frooming across the grass. She could hear them stories about Preston's kindergarten art show, plans for his soccer camp, Grandma cooing over how our little man was growing so fast. Marissa's news about her scholarship offers, not a word. She'd brought it up once shyly and Dad just nodded. "That's nice," before launching into Preston's latest milestone. The knot in her stomach tightened as the meal dragged on, the sun dipping behind the peaks, casting long shadows. Then Grandma wiped her hands on her apron, fixed Marissa with that sharp look, and said, "Come here, girl, let's talk about those college things you mentioned." Pulled her toward the guest cabin at the edge of the yard, the one with the tiny bathroom for quick chats. Inside, the door clicked shut, the air thick with lavender, soap, and regret. Grandma's hand clamped on her arm, not hard, but firm, guiding her against the sink. "You think you're so smart with your scholarships, huh? But you're an unwanted child. You ruined us all back then." The words flew out, venom laced with years of buried resentment, her face inches away, breath hot. Marissa froze, heart slamming. "Grandma, what?" But Grandma shoved just enough to pin her there, the edge of the sink digging into her back. "Your mother dragged this family through hell, and now you parade around like you belong. Get out of my sight." From the doorway, Candace's laugh sliced through, high and mocking. "Drama queen much? Oh, this is gold." Her phone was out, camera rolling, capturing the whole ugly mess for X, caption already forming in her smirk. "Family fun gone wrong. Sure, nephew wins. Awkward if." She hit post before Marissa could blink. Little Preston poked his head and then, truck in hand, eyes wide but uncaring. Cousin Marissa, why are you yelling? Before she could answer, Candace scooped him up. Nothing, buddy. Let's get ice cream. Marissa's vision blurred with tears. She pounded the door once, twice, fists aching, screaming inside, but silent outside where the grill sizzled on like nothing happened. Fumbling for her phone, she hit record on voice memo, capturing the tail end of Grandma's mutter, unwanted, ruined, evidence, proof. Then she bolted, keys shaking as she fired up the car and peeled out, gravel flying, dialing me the second she hit the highway. I held her tighter as she finished her words, painting the picture clearer than any photo, the isolation, the cruelty, the way they'd erased her right there under the mountain sky. Fury coiled in my chest, a storm building. This wasn't just hurt, it was deliberate. They'd chosen this. You ever been sidelined at a family gathering like you don't even exist? Drop in the comments how that isolation feels. Let's talk it out. I knew right then, time to strike back. 17 years. 17 years of their sideways glances, their nice try, pats on the back for Marissa's straight A's, while Preston got the full parade for finger painting. Enough. It was time to hit back with the one weapon they couldn't dodge, the law. I eased her head off my shoulders, wiped the streaks from her cheeks with my thumb, and grabbed my laptop from the coffee table. The screen glowed harsh in the dim living room, casting shadows that danced like accusations on the walls. We're ending this tonight, I said, my voice steady, even as my pulse thundered. Marissa nodded, eyes wide but nodding with that quiet steel I'd seen growing in her over the years. The same steel that got us through late nights poring over case files when she was just a kid spelling out injunction for fun. Fingers flew across the keyboard, drafting the email to Devon Hale, my law school battle buddy, who'd gone into family law while I chased environmental justice. Subject: urgent file, emotional distress suit against family. Body: Devon. It's Kendra. They crossed every line today at the barbecue, shoved Marissa verbally calling assault her unwanted child. Audio evidence attached from her phone. File the lawsuit for emotional distress immediately, $50,000 minimum damages. Include a restraining order petition if they so much as text. Make it airtight. I want them served by morning. Call me at dawn. I hit send, the whoosh echoing like a gavel. Marissa leaned in, watching the progress bar fill. What if they fight it? She whined. I squeezed her hand. They will. But Colorado courts don't play with harassment, especially not against a minor. This ends their games. My phone buzzed almost instantly. Devon's reply, on it. Reviewing audio now. Papers drafted by 6 a.m. $50K is conservative. We can push higher with the shove detail. Restraining orders a slam dunk, intentional infliction. Sleep if you can. I'll handle the filings. A grim smile tugged at my lips. Good old Devon, always the closer, but I wasn't done. Not by half. I opened X. The app's bluebird stared back like a co-conspirator. No faces, no specifics that could bite us legally, just the truth, raw and unfiltered. I hit record on a quick video, keeping the camera on my face in the low light, the Rocky's silhouette faint through the window behind me. Family's supposed to be your rock. I began, voice low and edged with ice. But today at a backyard barbecue in the foothills, they shoved my daughter into a bathroom and screamed unwanted child at her face. My sister filmed it, laughing like it was entertaining. 17 years of this poison, and I'm done whispering. If you won't kneel and apologize publicly at the church where you preach forgiveness, the courts will drag it into the light. The world will see what happens when you break a child. Watch this space. 10 seconds. That's all it took. I posted it unlisted at first, then shared the link to our extended family group chat, the aunts, uncles, cousins who'd stayed silent too long. No direct tags. Let it spread organically. Within minutes, notifications pinged, shares from a second cousin in Fort Collins, a like from an old college friend. The algorithm did its dirty work, pushing it to Denver locals tuned into family drama feeds. Then the audio file, Marissa's shaky recording, just grandma's hiss fading into sobs, scrubbed of identifiers but damning in its rawness. I uploaded it anonymously to a throwaway account, linking it in the family thread with a caption, "Hear for yourselves. This is what family sounds like in ours. Time for accountability." The backlash started slowly, then snowballed. A ping from Aunt Lydia, "Kendra, what the hell is this?" Followed by Uncle Ray, "Your mom called me crying, says it's all a misunderstanding." I let them stew, thumb hovering over block. My phone rang, then Mom's number flashing like a warning flare. I let it go to voicemail once, twice, the third time answered on speaker so Marissa could hear. Her voice cracked through thick with that fake tremble she reserved for church testimonials. "Kendra, honey, don't do this. Don't sue us. I was wrong, just stressed from the heat. Please, family sticks together." I leaned back, arm around Marissa, my tone flat as a courtroom ruling. Too late, Mom. You shoved my daughter, called her unwanted. Apologize on your knees at church tomorrow, public, or it's court, or else. Silence stretched, broken only by her gasp. You wouldn't. We're bleeding. Blood doesn't mean license to bully. I hung up. The final click was like a locked gate. Devon's text lit up. Next, papers filed, remotely served by noon. Restraining order, hearing set for Friday. You're a force, Kendra. Get some rest. This avalanche is rolling. I put the phone down, the weight lifting just a fraction as Marissa exhaled beside me. The Rockies loomed dark outside, star pricking the sky like distant testimony. For the first time in years, I felt the ground shift under us, not COE. By dawn, the filings were locked in. The doorbell's shrill chime jolted me awake. My coffee mug nearly slipped from my grip as I stood in the kitchen, Marissa still dozing on the couch under a throw blanket. I peeked through the blinds. Mom's sedan and Candace's SUV blocked the driveway, their silhouettes stiff in the early Colorado light. They'd come fast, too fast, like vultures circling a fresh wound. I opened the door but stayed planted in the frame, arms crossed, no invite inside. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, mascara smudged like she'd rehearsed her tears all night. Dad stood rigid beside her, jaw tight, clutching a crumpled printout of my ex-post. Candace Ford hovered behind with Blaine Hayes Preston tugging at his dad's sleeve, oblivious. Kendra, we need to talk. Mom began, voice quivering for effect. This nonsense, drop it. I didn't mean it. Didn't mean to shove my daughter into a bathroom and scream, unwanted child. I cut in sharp as a deposition knife, or didn't mean for the whole family to hear it on X. Her mouth opened, then shut. No answer ready. Dad stepped forward, waving the printout like a weapon. Overreaction. Kendra, you're blowing this out of proportion, dragging our name through the mud. Drop the suit or you're cut off. No inheritance, no nothing. I laughed, cold and bitter, the sound echoing off the porch. Inheritance, Dad, I built this life without a dime from you. You don't get to play that card. Marissa stirred behind me, padding to my side in her wrinkled sundress, her face pale but eyes blazing. She didn't flinch as Candace leaned in, voice dripping with fake concern. Marissa, honey, my video was just a joke. You're too sensitive, faking tears for attention. Tell your mom to stop this madness. Marissa straightened, her voice low but steel. Aunt Candace, you laughed while Grandma pinned me against that sink. You posted it for likes. I'm done begging for your scraps of love. I'm worth more than that. My chest swelled, pride mixed with the ache. My girl standing tall against their poison. Mom clutched her purse, tears spilling now. Kendra, please. What will the church think? We're your family, don't do this. I shook my head, resolved, hardening like granite. Family doesn't bully a kid and call it a misunderstanding. You had 17 years to act like it. We're leaving Denver, done with your favoritism for Preston. Marissa's hand found mine, squeezing tight. She nodded, saying she was all in. I pulled out my phone, opened X again, and hit record. No faces, just my voice, steady and unyielding, the Rockies framing the shot through the open door. They came to my house today, begging me to drop the lawsuit after shoving my daughter and mocking her pain on X. I'm giving one last chance, kneel and apologize at the Methodist Church this Sunday, public, or we're in court. The world's watching, and I'm not backing down. Posted. Notifications buzzed instantly, cousins sharing, a church friend DMing, shocked. The scandal was spreading wildfire fast through Denver's tight-knit gossip chains. Candace scoffed, tossing her hair. You're insane, Kendra. Dragging Marissa to some new city, you're the one hurting her, not us. Blaine asserted agreement, pulling Preston closer like I was the threat. Think about the kid, he said. Preston loves his cousin. Marissa's eyes are narrowed. When's the last time Preston even spoke to me, Uncle Blaine? You kept him away like I was contagious. I cut through their noise. We're moving to Boulder. I signed a contract yesterday, leading a new environmental law firm, better hours for us. House goes on the market this week. You're out of our lives. Mom gasped, hand to her chest, but Dad's face stiffened. You'll regret this, Kendra. You can't erase us. I stepped closer, voice low. Watch me. The realtor's sign went up that afternoon, our split level already drawing eyes from neighbors peeking over fences. Marissa helped me sort photos for the listing. She smiled, faint but real. By evening, X was alive with chatter, hundreds of views, family threads blowing up, a distant aunt texting. Did your mom really do that? The church's social page had questions piling in, their perfect image cracking. How do you shut down fake apologies from a toxic family? Drop your story in the comments. How'd you stand your ground for your kid? By nightfall, we were packing boxes. The exodus was coming. With the house sold, we boarded the plane. The Denver airport hummed with August travelers, but our corner was a bubble of focus boxes shipped ahead, Marissa's backpack crammed with essentials for the jump. The realtor had worked lightning fast, closing our split-level sale in 7 days to couple eyeing the mountain backdrop. We'd torn through our old life in a whirlwind, Marissa sorting her things with a quiet grit. The bracelets she'd woven for Preston, the rock she'd painted with his name dumped in a donation bin by the curb. "They don't deserve them," she said, tossing the last one without a glance back, her eyes clear of tears. The flight to Boulder was a quick hop, the plane skimming over the Rockies' golden ridges, sun blazing through the clouds. Our new apartment perched high in a sleek tower, the mountain's jagged edges framed like a vow through wide windows. Marissa pressed her nose to the glass, her silhouette sharp against the stone peaks. "This feels right," she murmured. I wrapped my arms around her, relief flooding through me like a river breaking free. We'd escaped. Marissa hit the ground running at her new school, mid-semester chaos no match for her. Within days she'd signed up for the debate team and environmental club, her counselor beaming over her transcript, perfect grades, scholarship offer stacking up for the University of Colorado. "She's a star," the counselor said, slipping me a flyer for their eco rally. Marissa was already drafting her speech on watershed protections, riffing off the legal briefs we'd poured over back in Denver. My first case at the Boulder firm landed like a gavel, a win blocking a developer's runoff scheme, saving a local creek. The partners slapped my back, tossing out a raise before the judge's ruling was called. "You're our cornerstone," one said, and I felt my feet plant firm, no longer wobbling under family shadows. Liana Sparks, a single mom and corporate lawyer I'd clicked with at a Boulder women's law meetup, threw a barbecue that first weekend. Her backyard glowed with string lights, tables crowded with mismatched plates, friends swapping stories over sizzling corn and local brews. Marissa traded trail tips with Liana's son, her laughter light as the evening breeze. I sipped a pale ale, sinking into the warmth of people who saw us for us, no baggage, no grudges. This was the family we chose. The restraining order Devin filed held like steel. His text pinged as we landed, served at 8 a.m. No contact allowed, Colorado laws ironclad. But by week 3 they tested it. Dad's number flashed with a message. "Heart's giving me trouble, Kendra. Your lawsuit's killing me." I forwarded it to Devin, deleted it without a reply. Candace tried next, her text dripping spite. "You're tearing us apart with your drama." Marissa's playing victim for sympathy. Block forward, done. Devin's case file grew thicker. One night Marissa caught me glaring at my phone, her gaze soft but steady. "Mom, they'll never get it, will they? We're free now." I pulled her into a hug, her words a lifeline. "We are kid. We're building something they can't touch." She nodded, flipping through a Boulder hiking guide, circling trails for our next adventure. The apartment smelled of fresh coffee and new beginnings, the Rockies standing sentinel outside. Devin called that evening, voice crisp with progress. Orders enforced, no violations yet. Lawsuits gaining traction. Their lawyers scrambling to settle. That audio's a dagger, 50,000's lowballing it. Courts on our side. I pictured Mom's face when the summons hit, her church lady mask splintering under scrutiny. Denver was unraveling behind us. A cousin messaged church groups in an uproar, "Your mom's off the board." That audio's everywhere. A neighbor chimed in. Candace lost a huge client. Nobody wants her drama tainting their brand. Their perfect image was fraying, the scandal rippling through Denver's gossip mill like a stone in a still pond. Marissa and I shared a pizza on our balcony, the Rockies glowing under a pink sunset. "We earned this," I said, clinking my soda against hers. Her smile was bright, unburdened by that bathroom door. We were home. The fallout in Denver was spreading, they'd pay dearly. The ripples from Denver hit hard. Within weeks of landing in Boulder, the audio Marissa recorded, that raw snippet of Mom's venomous, unwanted child hiss, blew up beyond our family chat. It spread like dry grass catching fire, shared across X by cousins, church friends, even strangers in Denver's tight gossip web. The Methodist Church's social page lit up with questions, members tagging Mom and Dad, demanding answers. By month's end, the board voted them out of leadership roles, deacons no more, their Sunday smiles erased from the bulletin. A cousin DM'd me, "Kendra, they're humiliated. Church potlucks are a ghost town for them now." I didn't reply, but the weight of their downfall settled like dust after a storm. Candace's business took a harder hit. Her boutique PR firm, built on Denver's elite, lost a contract worth hundreds of thousands of dollars when a client, some real estate mogul, bailed after seeing her ex post mocking Marissa. "No one trusts her judgment now," a mutual friend texted. Blaine was livid, his text to Candace leaking through family grapevines. "Your stunt cost us everything." Their marriage, already shaky, cracked wider under the strain. Relatives stopped inviting them to gatherings, their names whispered like a cautionary tale at Denver barbecues. Back in Boulder, Marissa got the call she'd been waiting for, a full-ride scholarship to the University of Colorado, her essays on environmental justice sealing the deal. We celebrated at Liana Sparks' house, her backyard packed with new friends, single moms, law colleagues, kids swapping stories over s'mores. Marissa led a toast, her glass of sparkling cider raised high. To new beginnings, she said, her voice clear, no trace of the girl who'd fled that bathroom. I clinked my drink against hers, pride swelling like the Rockies at dusk. My firm was thriving too. I led a string of wins cases, shutting down polluters, saving alpine streams from corporate greed. The partners called me to their glass-walled office one morning, handing me a plaque for outstanding leadership. "You're unstoppable," Kendra once said, and I felt it, unshackled, no longer tethered to family expectations. The Boulder air, crisp with pine, tasted like victory. Tasha Ruiz, our therapist, helped us carve out that freedom. Her office, tucked in a quiet corner of town, became our sanctuary. "Anger's valid," she said during one session, her voice calm but firm. "But you're rewriting your story. Setting boundaries is power." Marissa nodded, sharing how she channeled her pain into a debate speech that won regionals. I opened up about the guilt that crept in late at night. Had I pushed too hard? Tasha shook her head. "You protected her. In Colorado, that restraining order's your shield, use it." She taught us legal strategies too, like documenting violations for court, empowering us as single moms to stand firm. The order held strong. Devon's updates came weekly, no contact attempts since the texts. Their lawyers begging to settle the lawsuit, $50,000's a done deal if you want it. I told him to push harder. The audio was ironclad and their panic was our leverage. Family tried sneaking through. A package arrived, mom's handwriting on a box of Marissa's favorite oatmeal cookies. I sent it back unopened, a note taped on, "Respect the order." Marissa watched, her expression steady. "They don't get to buy us back," she said, and I hugged her, marveling at her strength. Denver's fallout kept growing. A neighbor messaged, "Your parents' church circles shunning them. Nobody wants the drama." Another cousin confirmed, "Candace's firm is bleeding clients." Blaine's talking divorce. The scandal clung to them like smoke, their social standing crumbling in Denver's judgmental suburbs. Relatives started reaching out to us instead, texts from an aunt in Greeley, a call from Uncle Ray offering support. "You did right, Kendra," he said. They crossed a line. Our life in Boulder bloomed. Liana's barbecues became our ritual tables, groaning with potluck dishes, tamales, cornbread, vegan brownies, friends laughing under string lights, a far cry from that toxic Denver grill out. Marissa thrived organizing eco-rallies, her voice ringing out on campus. I closed cases that made headlines, protecting Colorado's wild spaces. We were building something unbreakable, a family of choice that didn't demand our silence. One evening, Marissa and I hiked a trail overlooking Boulder, the mountains glowing under a crescent moon. "We're enough," she said, her breath visible in the chilly air. I squeezed her shoulder, the truth settling deep. We'd left their poison behind. 3 years later, our victory was absolute, no forgiveness. 3 years on Boulder was our fortress. By 2028, Marissa was a junior at the University of Colorado, tearing through pre-med with a bioethics minor, her weekend spent back at our apartment, sprawled on the couch, debating medical ethics over takeout. Her confidence lit up every room, a far cry from the girl who'd once pounded a bathroom door for escape. I'd catch her on campus leading eco-rallies or acing debates, her voice carrying the weight of someone who'd learned her worth the hard way. "Mom, I'm aiming for med school," she'd say, eyes bright, and I'd nod, knowing she'd outshine us all. My firm had become a regional powerhouse, shutting down polluters from Wyoming to New Mexico. Last spring, the partners handed me a leadership award, my name etched in silver above the fireplace in our office. "Kendra, you've redefined environmental law," one said, and I stood taller, no longer shrinking to fit anyone's mold. Our apartment's view of the Rockies' snow-dusted peaks, sharp against the sky, felt like a trophy of our own making. Our chosen family grew louder, messier, better. Liana's backyard barbecues now drew 15 people, plates piled with tamales, grilled trout, and vegan cupcakes, voices blending in a chorus of laughter under twinkling lights. Marissa swapped hiking stories with Liana's son, while I traded case notes with single moms who'd become sisters. This was home tables where everyone had a seat, no one left in the shadows. Back in Denver, the family's world had collapsed. Mom and Dad, once pillars of their Methodist church, were ghosts in their own community, shunned after the audio scandal. They sold their suburban split-level last year, downsizing to a cramped rental on the edge of town, their social circle reduced to whispers and pity. A cousin texted me, "They don't show up to reunions anymore, too ashamed." I didn't reply, but the truth landed like a quiet verdict. Candace's fall was steeper, her PR firm gutted by lost clients folded entirely after that real estate mogul spread word of her ex-post mockery. Hundreds of thousands of dollars vanished, her savings drained to nothing. Blaine walked out 6 months ago filing for divorce when the financial stress snapped their already brittle bond. She's a pariah now, and aunt messaged no one hires her. Their perfect image, Preston's private school. Candace's designer life was dust. Their choices carving their own ruin. They tried crawling back. A package arrived last Christmas, mom's scrawl on a box of Marissa's favorite oatmeal cookies, a card begging for a call. I taped it shut, scribbling "respect the boundaries" before sending it back. Marissa watched unflinching. "They don't get to rewrite this," she said, her voice steady as the mountains outside. The restraining order held firm, Devon's updates crisp. No violations. Lawsuit settled at $50,000. They're broke. I nodded, the final gavel dropping in my mind. Tasha's therapy sessions grounded us through it. "You've built something stronger," she said last month, her office warm with cedar and lamplight. "You're whole now, not their scraps." Marissa shared how she'd turned pain into purpose, her pre-med path a tribute to resilience. I confessed the flicker of guilt. Had I burned too many bridges? Tasha's smile was firm. "You saved your daughter. That's victory." One night, Marissa and I stood on our balcony, the Rockies shimmering under starlight. "We're whole," I said, my hand on her shoulder. She leaned into me, her breath steady. "We always were, Mom." The truth sank deep, a root in solid ground. In America, toxic families pay a price, reputation, money, bonds all gone. Women, listen, you're worth more than their poison. Use the law like we did, lawsuits, restraining orders to shield your kids and claim your life. Choose love that lifts you, not chains that bind. How'd you triumph over a toxic family? Drop your story in the comments, share it to inspire single moms fighting for their kids. Our Boulder table's set for 15 now, bursting with laughter, every seat filled. You deserve that table too.
Your father needs you, Anna. Family comes first. Those words from my dad echoed in my head as I stared at my resignation letter. After 8 years building my nursing career in Boston, I was giving it all up because of a guilt-laden phone call from back home in Minnesota. My name is Anna, and at 33, I thought I'd finally found my place in life. I had a great job at a prestigious hospital, close friends who felt like family, and a cozy apartment overlooking the harbor. Then came the call that changed everything. "Deborah's health is declining," my dad had said, his voice heavy with practiced concern. "Your brothers are too busy with their own families, and you're the only one with medical training. You understand what we're dealing with, Anna. We need you here." I remembered how my hands had trembled as I listened to him outline all the reasons I needed to come home. How Deborah, my stepmother of 15 years, couldn't manage the house anymore. How they needed someone with medical knowledge to coordinate her care. How family should take care of family. What he didn't mention was why my brothers, Jack and Peter, couldn't help despite living just 20 minutes away. Or why they couldn't hire professional help with the money from my dad's successful construction business. Or why this was suddenly so urgent when Deborah had been managing her chronic conditions for years. But guilt is a powerful motivator, especially when wielded by a parent who knows exactly which buttons to push. "Remember how much we supported you through nursing school?" he'd reminded me. "Now it's time to give back to the family." So here I was, boxing up my life, trying to explain to my bewildered friends why I had to leave. My best friend Sarah thought I was crazy. "They're manipulating you," she'd said over our last coffee together. "You know that, right? They've got 2 sons right there in town, but they're guilt-tripping you into giving up your whole life." Deep down, I knew she was right. But every time I considered backing out, I remembered my dad's voice, the implied disappointment, the subtle reminder of family obligations. The hospital had been understanding but disappointed. "We'll miss you in the ICU," my supervisor had said. "Not many nurses have your skills with difficult cases." I folded the resignation letter and slipped it into an envelope. 8 years of building a reputation, of becoming known as the nurse you could count on in a crisis, of creating a life I loved. All of it sacrificed because family comes first. The reality of moving back home hit me the moment I pulled into the driveway. My dad stood on the porch, not offering to help with my boxes, while Deborah watched from behind the living room window, already frowning at how I'd parked my car. "You'll have to move that," were my dad's first words to me. Deborah needs clear access to get her car out. No hello. No thank you for coming. Just immediate criticism. I'd given up my apartment, put most of my furniture in storage, and driven 12 hours to get here. My cat Luna was still anxious from the long drive, meowing in her carrier. But apparently, the pressing issue was where I'd parked my car. The basement apartment is ready, my dad said, finally coming down the steps. We cleared out some of the old boxes, but you'll need to clean it up a bit. The basement apartment. I'd forgotten about this space, damp, dark, and last renovated sometime in the early 90s, a far cry from my sunny Boston apartment with its harbor views. Deborah needs help with her medication schedule, he continued, following me down the basement stairs. And the house needs a thorough cleaning. She can't manage the way she used to. And I looked around the musty space that was supposed to be my new home. The apartment was basically one room with a bathroom that had seen better days. The carpet smelled like mothballs, and the windows were tiny rectangles near the ceiling that barely let in any light. I thought Deborah just needed help with medical care, I said, setting Luna's carrier down. You didn't mention housekeeping. Family helps family, Anna. You're not too good for housework, are you? There it was again, that guilt-inducing tone that had worked so well over the phone. But somehow it hit differently in person, standing in a musty basement while my professional life fell apart. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Made it okay? Place as bad as you feared? Before I could reply, my dad cleared his throat. Deborah needs help with her breakfast medications in the morning. Be upstairs by 7 a.m. sharp, and make sure that cat doesn't make a mess down here. As he climbed the stairs, I heard Deborah's voice from above. Frank, tell her she needs to vacuum down there before she brings in any more boxes. I can hear her feet crunching on dirt from up here. I looked at Luna, who stared back with her usual unimpressed expression. What have we gotten ourselves into, girl? The first week set the tone for everything that followed. Each morning started with Deborah's medication schedule, but that was just the beginning. Suddenly, I was responsible for cleaning the entire house, grocery shopping, cooking meals, doing laundry, and maintaining the yard, all while being told I wasn't doing any of it correctly. That's not how you fold towels, Deborah would say, hovering over my shoulder. And you're using too much detergent. No wonder you're still single if you can't manage basic housework. My nursing skills, the ones they'd supposedly desperately needed, were barely utilized. Deborah's declining health mainly seemed to mean she didn't want to do housework anymore. She had no problem driving to her weekly bridge club or spending hours at the mall. My dad remained conspicuously absent during the day, working long hours at his construction business. But he was quick to side with Deborah whenever I raised concerns. Your stepmom has high standards, he'd say. Is it so wrong to want things done properly? Maybe if you were more attentive to details in your own life, you'd have settled down by now. The digs about my single status were constant, as if my successful nursing career meant nothing without a husband. Meanwhile, my brothers lived their lives undisturbed. Jack stopped by once, took one look at me cleaning windows, and made a hasty excuse about getting back to his family. At least some of us have real responsibilities, Deborah commented after he left. I tried calling Peter, hoping for some support, but he just laughed. Better you than me, sis. You know how Deborah gets. Yes, I did know. Like when she reorganized my basement apartment while I was out getting her prescriptions, claiming my clutter was affecting her anxiety. Or when she threw away my favorite coffee mug because it didn't match her kitchen aesthetic. Sarah kept telling me to leave. You're a highly qualified ICU nurse, she texted. Your old supervisor called asking if you'd reconsider. They haven't filled your position yet. But every time I thought about leaving, guilt held me back. Family comes first, the mantra I'd been raised with, even when family treated you like an unpaid servant. The breaking point came exactly 1 month after I moved in. I overheard Deborah on the phone with her sister while I was weeding her prized rose garden. Frank was so clever, she was saying. Getting Anna to come back by exaggerating my health issues. Now we have a free housekeeper who can't complain because she's family, Though honestly, she's not very good at it. Some people just don't understand proper housekeeping. My hands trembled as I pulled weeds from Deborah's precious rose garden, her words echoing in my head. Free housekeeper. Exaggerating health issues. They'd manipulated me into giving up my entire life, not because they needed medical help, but because they wanted an unpaid servant. That evening, while preparing their dinner, chicken had to be grilled exactly the way Deborah liked it. I started making notes on my phone. Every chore, every criticism, every dismissive comment. I recorded the hours spent cleaning versus any actual medical care Deborah needed. I even started checking her social media, tennis club photos, shopping sprees, bridge club meetings, some health crisis. The chicken's dry again, Deborah announced at dinner, pushing her plate away. Really, Anna, for someone who managed to earn a nursing degree, you'd think you could master basic cooking. I looked at my dad, waiting for him to defend me. Instead, he just passed Deborah the salt without looking up. And the roses aren't pruned properly, she continued. I saw you out there just hacking away. No technique at all. I spent 3 hours in that garden, I said quietly. Well, clearly not doing anything useful. Oh, and the windows need cleaning again. I can see streaks from here. I set down my fork. Funny how your health issues never prevent you from inspecting my cleaning, but somehow stop you from doing any housework yourself. The silence that followed was deafening. My dad's fork paused halfway to his mouth. What did you just say? Deborah's voice was dangerously quiet. I heard you on the phone earlier, bragging about how clever you both were, exaggerating your health problems to get me here. I don't know what you think you heard. I heard enough. About manipulating me into becoming your free housekeeper. About laughing at how easy it was to guilt me into giving up my career. My dad finally looked up. Now wait a minute. No, you wait a minute, I interrupted. I'm an ICU nurse. Did you really think I wouldn't notice that Deborah's declining health miraculously improves whenever there's shopping to do or tennis to play? I have good days and bad days, Deborah snapped. No, you have housework days and fun days, and somehow all the housework days land on me. My dad's face darkened. You're being disrespectful. And you're being manipulative. You lied to get me here, used my medical training against me, and turned me into an unpaid maid. After everything we've done for you, he started. What exactly have you done? Besides trick me into giving up my career and moving into a moldy basement? The basement apartment was a generous offer, my dad said, his face reddening. Most kids your age would be grateful for free housing. Free? I laughed. I work from dawn until night. I clean your entire house, cook your meals, maintain your yard. A full-time housekeeper would cost you thousands per month. Family helps family, he started, but I cut him off. Does it? Because Jack and Peter are family too, but they get to have their own lives, their own careers, their own homes. Why aren't they here helping? Your brothers have families. And I had a career? A life. A beautiful apartment overlooking the harbor. All of which I gave up because you lied about Deborah needing medical care. Deborah stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. I do need care, just because I have some good days. Good days? I pulled out my phone. Let's review your good days this week. Monday, tennis club. Tuesday, shopping at the mall for 4 hours. Wednesday, hosting bridge club. Thursday, lunch with friends. Friday, planning your cruise for next spring. Sounds like a real health crisis. My dad shifted uncomfortably. Now, Anna. Don't now Anna me. I spent 8 years building my career. 8 years becoming someone patients could rely on in their worst moments. And you used that against me. You used my compassion as a weapon. We needed help. No, you wanted help. There's a difference. You could have hired someone. You could have asked your sons. You could have made any number of reasonable arrangements. Instead, you manipulated your daughter into becoming your servant. That's not fair, Deborah protested. We gave you a place to stay. A moldy basement with a bathroom that barely works. while I clean your entire house and listen to constant criticism about how I can't do anything right. My hands were shaking as I pushed back from the table. The magnitude of their deception was finally hitting me full force. You know what the worst part is? I continued, my voice quivering. If you'd actually needed medical help, I would have found a way to support you without destroying my own life. I would have helped coordinate care, found resources, made arrangements, because that's what family really does. Where are you going? My dad demanded as I headed for the basement stairs. To pack my bags. I'm done being your free housekeeper. I threw clothes into my suitcase while they followed me downstairs, both talking at once. Luna watched from her perch on the dresser, tail twitching as the argument escalated. You can't just leave, my dad insisted. What about your obligations? My obligations? What about yours? Parents are supposed to want their children to succeed, not manipulate them into giving up their dreams. We never made you give up anything, Deborah interjected. You chose to come. Under false pretenses, because you lied about needing medical care. Lower your voice, my dad warned. This isn't how we raised you to behave. No, you raised me to be easily manipulated, to always put everyone else's needs before my own, to feel guilty for having a successful career instead of settling down to become someone's housekeeper. Luna jumped into her carrier without being prompted. Smart Cat knew we were leaving. If you walk out that door, Deborah threatened, don't expect to be welcomed back. I stopped packing and turned to face them both. That's your solution? More threats? More manipulation? We're your family, my dad tried again. No, you're people who took advantage of someone who cared enough to come when you called, who used my profession, my compassion against me. That's not family, that's exploitation. You're being dramatic, Deborah snapped. Frank, tell her she's being dramatic. But something in my words must have finally gotten through to him. He was looking at me differently, seeing me as an adult for maybe the first time. Perhaps we could discuss this calmly, he offered. Come up with a better arrangement. There is no arrangement. I'm going back to Boston, back to my career, back to people who actually respect me. Your old job probably isn't even available anymore, Deborah said smugly. Actually, it is. They've been holding my position, hoping I'd come back. My supervisor called last week. That wiped the smug look off her face. You've been planning this? No, I've been waiting for you to prove me wrong. To show me this wasn't just about getting free housekeeping. I kept hoping there was more to it. I zipped up my suitcase and grabbed Luna's carrier. The weight of their deception, their manipulation, their casual cruelty, it all seemed to lift as I headed for the stairs. You'll regret this, Deborah called after me. No, I replied, not looking back. I regret letting you manipulate me in the first place. I regret not seeing through your lies sooner. But leaving? That's the first right thing I've done since coming back here. The 12-hour drive back to Boston felt like breaking free from a prison. Each mile put more distance between me and their manipulation, their criticism, their casual cruelty. Luna slept peacefully in her carrier, probably relieved to be leaving that damp basement behind. My phone kept buzzing with messages. My dad alternated between guilt trips and angry demands that I return immediately. Deborah had apparently called every relative in her contact list, spinning a story about how I'd abandoned them in their time of need. My brothers sent awkward texts asking me to reconsider, though notably neither of them offered to help in my place. But there were other messages, too. Sarah had already lined up viewings for 3 apartments near the hospital. My old supervisor confirmed my position was still open, even offering a raise to welcome me back. My colleagues sent excited messages about my return. I stopped at a hotel halfway through the drive, needing time to process everything. Sitting on the clean hotel bed with Luna exploring her new surroundings, I finally let myself cry. Not from sadness or guilt, but from relief and lingering anger at how thoroughly they'd manipulated me. My dad called again around midnight. Your stepmom is very upset, he started. Is she? Or is she just angry that her free housekeeper left? Anna, please. We can work something out. Like what? Another guilt trip about family obligations? More lies about Deborah's health? We do need help. Then hire someone, like every other family does when they need assistance. Stop expecting your daughter to sacrifice her life because you don't want to pay for household help. He was quiet for a moment. I didn't think. No, you didn't think. You didn't think about what you were asking me to give up. You didn't think about how it would feel to be treated like a servant in my own family's home. You just saw an opportunity to get free help and took it. That's not fair. Neither was lying to get me there. Neither was watching Deborah criticize everything I did while she played tennis and planned cruises. Neither was expecting me to live in a moldy basement while my brothers got to keep their lives intact. After I hung up, my Aunt Ellen called, my mom's sister who'd always seen through Deborah's act. I'm proud of you, she said simply. It's about time someone stood up to them. The family doesn't see it that way. The family is used to enabling Deborah's behavior. But you know what? Let them clean her house and maintain her garden and listen to her constant criticism. See how long they last. She was right. Already my brothers were getting calls about helping out, and suddenly they were too busy too. Funny how that worked. Back in Boston, my life rebuilt itself faster than I expected. The hospital welcomed me back with open arms. I found a sunny apartment in my old neighborhood, this time with a spare room for a home office. Sarah helped me furniture shop, replacing everything I'd left in storage at my dad's. 2 weeks after I left, Deborah posted a passive-aggressive plea on social media, looking for reliable housekeeping help. Sadly, some people just don't understand family obligations anymore. Children these days have no sense of duty or responsibility. The comments were illuminating. My cousin Rachel, who'd cleaned for them one summer in college, shared her own experience with Deborah's impossible standards and constant criticism. Others chimed in with similar stories. The post backfired spectacularly, revealing a pattern of behavior I hadn't known about. My brothers started feeling the pressure. Jack's wife finally called me. They want us to come clean every weekend, she said. Jack keeps making excuses, but your dad is getting pushy. How did you stand it for so long? I didn't, I replied. That's why I left. Peter lasted exactly 1 day trying to help them. He called me that evening, sounding shell-shocked. Deborah made me reorganize her pantry 4 times because the cans weren't aligned perfectly. Then she complained about how I folded her sheets. Dad just sat there letting her criticize everything. I had no idea what you were dealing with. My Aunt Ellen kept me updated on the family fallout. Apparently, 3 different housekeepers had quit after less than a week. Deborah's bridge club was hearing the real story, damaging her carefully crafted image. My dad was finally facing consequences for his enabling behavior. They're realizing that professional help costs money, Ellen reported, and apparently no one wants to work for them even when they offer to pay. Your dad's actually doing his own laundry for the first time in 20 years. My supervisor called me into her office 1 month after my return. I feared repercussions from leaving so abruptly before, but instead she offered me a promotion. You were missed, she said simply. Not just your skills, but your dedication to doing what's right. We need more nurses like you in leadership positions. That evening, I sat in my new apartment, watching the sunset over the harbor. Luna sprawled contentedly on the windowsill, both of us finally at peace. My phone buzzed with another text from my dad. The house isn't the same without you. Deborah misses your help. I wrote back. I'm sure she does, but I'm not for sale anymore. 6 months after leaving, I received an unexpected call from Jack's wife, Marie. You need to hear this, she said. I was at your dad's house dropping off some paperwork, and I overheard Deborah complaining to her sister about how she can't find any housekeepers willing to stay. She actually said, Anna was so much better. At least she couldn't quit when I criticized her work because she was family. I wasn't even surprised anymore. Did Dad say anything? That's the interesting part. He actually spoke up. Told her she was the reason they couldn't keep help. And maybe if she'd treated you better, none of this would have happened. The house apparently didn't run itself after all. Through family gossip, I learned they'd finally had to hire a professional cleaning service at premium rates because of their reputation. Deborah had to start doing her own laundry because no one would do it to her standards. My dad had to learn basic cooking skills. My Aunt Ellen sent me a photo of their once pristine garden, now overgrown because Deborah's health issues prevented her from maintaining it, but she also refused to let anyone else touch her precious roses. Karma, Ellen texted alongside the photo, is a master gardener. My new life flourished like those neglected roses never would. I earned my promotion, started teaching nursing classes part-time, and even began dating someone who respected my career and independence. At Christmas, my Aunt Ellen hosted the family gathering, breaking years of tradition. For the first time, Deborah wasn't in charge of the festivities, couldn't criticize everyone's contributions to the meal, couldn't assign seating to show who was in or out of favor. I attended, bringing a store-bought pie that would have scandalized Deborah's sensibilities. My brothers and their wives seemed relieved to have a drama-free holiday. My dad came alone. Apparently, Deborah had refused to attend if she couldn't host. During a quiet moment, my dad pulled me aside. "I've been thinking about what happened," he said, looking older than I remembered. "I watched you build your career, become someone patients depend on, create a life you were proud of. And instead of being proud too, I helped tear it down." "Why?" I asked. "Why did you let it happen?" He sighed. "It was easier to sacrifice your happiness than deal with Deborah's demands. I'm not proud of that." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was more acknowledgement than I'd ever expected. We weren't close anymore, might never be again, but at least there was honesty between us. Later, helping Ellen with dishes, I found myself smiling at how different life felt when you weren't trying to meet impossible standards or win approval from people who'd never give it. "You know what the best revenge is?" Ellen asked, handing me a plate to dry. "What's that?" "Living well, and from where I'm standing, you're doing just fine at that."